It's time for us to finally address the skeletons Disney's been tucking away in their closet. What does Disney World keep doing wrong over and over again? Find out today on DFP Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. So Disney World gets a whole lot of things right, from its storytelling to its innovative rides, its soundtracks, those tasty snacks, and heartwarming shows. But it is by no means perfect. In fact, in many cases, Disney keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. So today, we're bringing these concerns to the spotlight and figuring out how to navigate around them, even if Disney won't. Now, I tried really hard to make this not just a complaining fest, and I don't think it is. There's a couple in here that are funny, and there's a couple in here that are just super relatable, so stick with me. But the first one we want to talk about is keeping guests in the dark. So secrets are no fun. So why are we finding ourselves on the edge of our seats waiting for more news about the Disney dining plan? So the DDP, for those of you who are brand new and weren't with us pre-COVID, was a pre-purchased dining package that you could add to your room-only or Disney vacation package. That way you wouldn't have to worry about paying for food once you got to the parks. It was all budgeted out for you ahead of time. After the park pandemic closures of 2020, the Disney dining plan went dark, and we kind of assumed that was because several things stayed dark, even after all the initial reopenings. But let's skip ahead to today, 2023. 3 years later, character dining has for the most part returned, live performances are back, all those plexiglass barriers have been taken down from the rides in the monorail, and yet the Disney dining plan has yet to return. Now, it'd be one thing if Disney had flat out said, hey guys, hate to break it to you, but we're retiring this service once and for all, like they basically just said about the Premier Annual Pass, right? When Bob Iger was asked that question in the shareholder call. But they haven't done that. In fact, back in 2021, Disney told us that the Disney dining plan would return, guaranteed. They just didn't know when. And when talking about the Disney dining plan back in 2021, they stated that while we're not quite ready to share an update on timing, we are planning to bring this guest favorite option back at a later date. So we're going on 2 years since that announcement with nothing else to go on here, and yet we're still seeing the Disney dining plan symbols popping up on all the menus. Like they're always on Epcot's festival booths, they're always on snacks that are returning to menus. You see those little DDP purple squares next to everything. So seriously, Disney, why are you holding back on us and teasing us at the same time? Just give us something, anything, because the people are hungry for info. Now, while we're waiting to hear any kind of news about the Disney dining plan, there are still several ways you can figure out a reasonable dining budget that's going to work for you and your group before you visit. Because y'all know how I feel about the Disney dining plan is that it was rarely going to save you money. Disney does a lot of research on how much people eat and how much money they spend on food, and they're never going to give you something that's going to outright cost them money, right? So they priced the Disney dining plan in a sweet spot that was mostly going to make them money, which means giving you more food than you could possibly eat. But what a lot of people like about the Disney dining plan is that it is prepaid. You don't have to worry about pulling out your wallet for every single snack when you book the Disney dining plan. And when they gave the Disney dining plan for free as an incentive, well, that was a huge deal, and you could definitely save money with that. So if the main goal of the dining plan for a lot of folks is to pre-budget their meals, we can do that. And we can also give you a few tips to actually save money as you're pre-budgeting. So tip number 1, pick breakfast or lunch as your big meal of the day. If you choose to dine at a breakfast buffet, not only are you going to find typically cheaper prices than you'll find at the same restaurant during lunch or dinner, but you can also book a later seating, like around 10 a.m., to satisfy your hunger for both breakfast and lunch. Some of our favorite breakfast, buffets, and all you care to eat locations are the Crystal Palace at Magic Kingdom, Whispering Canyon Cafe at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, Ohana at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, Tusker House at Animal Kingdom. You know we love Garden Grill at Epcot. I'll always talk about it. So we got lots of opinions on all these all-you-can-eat locations, but those are some favorites. Tip number 2, stick with the fast food. Your meals don't all have to be $20 plus. Many quick services around Disney property can hook you up with good food at a decent price. Where will you find the DFB team chowing down on more affordable eats? Well, we love Chicken Guy at Disney Springs. That's really going to be the best bang for your buck. It's excellent food, and they actually try to keep their prices low. Regal Eagle Smokehouse at Epcot, a great option. Gasparilla Island Grill at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. That's where I like to go when I don't even have to eat for the blog. I just go ahead and eat whatever I want. And of course, I always get mac and cheese when I'm there. And Backlot Express at Disney's Hollywood Studios, another favorite of mine personally, and several folks on our team. Although a lot of people also do like ABC Commissary. Since they changed their menu, they've got some great options over there as well in Hollywood Studios. But there are tons and tons of great counter service, fast food, quick service, whatever you want to call, fast casual, whatever you want to call them, the non-sit down table service restaurants. Disney's getting better and better at those. Tip number 3, find meals to split. You ever order an entree and you know immediately that there's no way you're going to finish it, and it would have been way better if you would have split it with someone else instead? Several entrees in Disney are very splittable, meaning you can feed 2 mouths for the price of 1 meal. Another benefit of this, of course, is that you get to try more types of food. I love splitting meals in Disney World because that means we can go one place and get 1 meal and then be hungry again within the next couple of hours to try something else. But where are you going to find these kinds of items? If the DFB team ever wants to go halvesies, these are the places we go. We grab the trio platter with fried shrimp, chicken tenders, battered fish, hush puppies, and your choice of side at Columbia Harbor House in Magic Kingdom. We head to Flame Tree Barbecue for ribs and chicken combo over there in Animal Kingdom. A full-sized pizza at any of the quick service food courts at Disney's value resorts are going to be good bang for your buck, but they're not necessarily going to be the best pizza you've ever had. So we've got some, fast food pizza fans on our team, and we have some folks that are like, please no, I've had good pizza before and this isn't it. So that's up to you, but it's worth a try. You can feed a whole family for a pretty low price. Now, if the animatronic animal mood strikes you, it's not a bad deal to get the awesome appetizer adventure at Rainforest Cafe in either Disney Springs or Disney's Animal Kingdom, which has chimichangas, spinach and artichoke dip, cheese sticks, chicken strips for about $25. Is it too expensive? Yes, but you're in Disney World, so everything's too expensive. So I'd say if you've got a kid who loves the Rainforest Cafe vibe, this is a good option for splitting. Okay, this next one, you are either going to love me or hate me for this, and I'm going to say most of you will think I'm a giant dork, but I do not know why Disney refuses to use fitted sheets in its hotel rooms. I've talked about it on the channel before. I try not to bring this up too much, but when it comes to doing things wrong repeatedly, this is one that I just wish they would change. Now, I know why Disney doesn't use fitted sheets. I used to be a hotel chambermaid. I used to be on laundry duty. I get it. It's way easier for housekeeping to pick up all the bedding at once without worrying about untucking a folded sheet in every room. It's also much easier when you're doing the laundry to just grab 2 sheets from the top of the pile and not have to grab a fitted sheet and a regular sheet. You just grab all the sheets you need for your rooms and they're all the same. I understand. But my bed is always super short sheeted, so I end up having to remake it every time. And sometimes I even end up remaking it in the middle of the night after those long days in the park when I think I'm tired enough that the non-fitted sheet isn't going to bother me, and then it always does. So, recommending that you travel with your own fitted sheet. You can get one at Target or Walmart for like $15, and that's probably one of the more unconventional things I've ever told you to pack, but it lowers my personal frustration level significantly, so there you go. And if you're going to be bizarre enough to actually do this, I do recommend getting a fitted sheet that's a different color, so not a white fitted sheet, because that way you can remember to take it with you when you leave and you don't just forget your fitted sheet. Yes, I know I am a super weirdo. Now, some of our team do like to take 1 or 2 of their own pillows too, because some of them do drive down. They don't have to pack into suitcases, so they know they'll have at least 1 pillow that they like. So that's something that you may consider as well. Okay, now let's talk about Magic Mobile. Having your park tickets conveniently stashed away in the free My Disney Experience app is super nifty, but your Magic Mobile tickets or Magic Mobile tickets, what do you want to call? You want to call it Magic Mobile or Magic Mobile? It's up to you. Aren't always as great as having a straight up physical card or Magic Band. One of the latest downfalls of Magic Mobile happens over at Tron when you're going to rent a free locker. Before you ride Tron, you'll need to stow all the loose belongings in one of those complimentary lockers, since there's really no place to store your stuff other than a teeny tiny compartment on top of your light cycle when you're on the ride. You can unlock your locker by using your physical key to the World card or your Magic Band. However, you cannot use your Magic Mobile to unlock your locker. So if you're only relying on Magic Mobile that day, you'll need to ask a cast member for a temporary locker card that you can scan to access one of these lockers. Then you'll just need to return the card after your ride through and after you've collected your stuff. And that may not be a huge deal breaker for you to not use Magic Mobile during your trip, but what might make you a little more apprehensive is the fact that, well, technology isn't foolproof, not even at Disney World, especially not at Disney World. A few weeks back, one of our reporters was heading into Magic Kingdom when they came across quite the interesting issue over at the Transportation and Ticket Center. Cast members were stopping anyone who didn't have a Magic Band or physical card and asking them to pick up a card at guest services before getting on the monorail or ferry boat. Why? Well, Magic Mobile was down, meaning guests who were relying on it to get into the parks were being denied entry by the system. So technological hiccups happen, and Disney's not going to flat out say, too bad, if your Magic Mobile's giving you trouble. However, if you don't want to get stuck in an unexpected line waiting to pick up a physical key to the World Card when you arrive at the park, it's best to already have one handy. You can pick up physical cards at the front desk of your Disney World resort, or if you're at the first park of your trip, you can head to Guest Relations and grab a card there. All the parks do have Guest Relations offices outside of the actual park, so you don't have to get into the park to get to Guest Relations. Or get yourself a Magic Band or a Magic Band Plus. Standard Magic Bands range in price between $20 and $25, while the Magic Band Plus designs, which include more ways to interact with the parks and have lights, vibrations, and an immersive bounty hunter quest while you're in Galaxy's Edge, start at $35. But if you already have a Magic Band left over from your last Disney World trip, that works too. As long as it's still all set up with your My Disney Experience account, it should be good for you to use without having to pay for an all-new band. Now listen here, there is a whole suite located right above Cinderella's royal table inside Cinderella Castle, and nobody gets the chance to step foot inside, let alone stay the night. Why is this? Why are we wasting this incredible location? Well, little backstory for you. The Cinderella Castle suite was originally designed to be a suite for Walt Disney and his family, but since Walt passed away before the completion of Disney World, the apartment was left unfinished for quite a while until it eventually turned into office space, which, yes please, I would like to work in that office. But in 2006, for the Year of a Million Dreams celebration, who remembers this? Raise your hand, because I do. The Cinderella Castle suite was transformed into the ultimate luxury suite, complete with 24-hour concierge, a magic mirror turned TV, an antique limestone fireplace, stained glass windows, and a jacuzzi tub with a starry night sky overhead. During the celebration, guests could win the chance to stay at Cindy's Place, but nowadays, it doesn't matter if you wanted to book this place years in advance or fork over hundreds of thousands of dollars for a one-night stay. It isn't happening. Disney has to invite you personally to be their guest in their ultra exclusive suite. And guess who gets to do that? Basically celebrities and VIPs and people who are super awesome. And that's not me, so I don't get to stay there. And in the past, you could get the chance to step inside it during the former World of Dreams tour, which was 10 hours long, completely customizable, and oh yeah, a whopping $12,000. Now, though it's totally understandable that Disney wants to keep this place looking pristine because it really is that luxurious, it seems pretty silly that there hasn't been a contest or tour or any sort of opportunity for anyone else to be able to see it. It's like the ultimate forbidden fruit. Fortunately, there are still plenty of bougie places for you to book a room in Disney World, though, if you've got, super thousands of dollars that you want to drop. You got the Polynesian Villa Bora Bora bungalows at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. Those are located over the Seven Seas Lagoon, a stone's throw away from Cinderella Castle, and can sleep up to 8 people, with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living dining kitchen area, and a private back deck with a plunge pool. Also, please don't throw stones at Cinderella Castle. You could maybe stay at the Treehouse Villas at Disney Saratoga Springs Resort. Those are octagonal-shaped buildings that can house up to 9 people. They have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living dining kitchen area, and a porch, all elevated off the ground to give it that I'm sleeping in the trees like Tarzan feel. The Port Orleans Resort Royal Guest Rooms at Disney's Port Orleans Resort Riverside have princess artwork, lots of Disney Princess movie Easter eggs throughout the decor, and a headboard that lights up with LED fireworks. And best of all, these rooms are moderately priced instead of deluxe. And at any of the Disney Vacation Club properties, the ones that are 3-bedroom, you can stay in villas that sleep up to 12 people. Now, these rooms typically come with 3 bedrooms, 3 or more bathrooms, a very large full-size kitchen, living area, dining area, and a balcony. So you can stay in cool places in Disney, you just can't stay in the coolest place in Disney. And I really think we need another Year of a Million Dreams where maybe some people get to stay there. And then maybe if you do get to stay there, you can tell me about it, because that would be cool. So remember the days when you could just wake the kids up and say, hey, we're going to Disney World, and then you just do that. Sure, getting advanced dining reservations and choosing your hotel months before your trip has been a thing for a while now, but long ago, the demand wasn't nearly as big of an issue. You could buy tickets the day of, you could rely on non-peak seasons to actually be less busy. Basically, you could just improvise. I can remember going to Disney World. Just for one day, we were on spring break staying at the beach, and we'd go for one day, and you'd go rope drop to fireworks and wait in 3-hour lines for Journey into Imagination, and it was awesome. Now, planning a Disney trip is packed with so many layers, like onions and ogres. You gotta secure park pass reservations months in advance after you purchase your park tickets. You gotta scour days to see when ticket and hotel prices are gonna be their lowest so you can save a buck. You gotta be diligent about waking up at 6 a.m. or earlier 60 days before your visit so you can score those popular dining reservations. Remember when you used to be able to just go to Epcot and go to the Communicore and talk to a lady with really cool 80s hair on the TV screen, and she would book you a table at Rose and Crown for later that day? That was super cool. You probably don't remember that because I am very old. Anyway, these days you got to learn all the ins and outs of lightning lanes and virtual queues and make sure you not only get on the rides you want to ride, but you don't have to wait all day long to make them happen. So there are various reasons these changes have had to come forth. Some of it, like the Park Pass reservation system, was the product of those 2020 closures. And though this system was meant to stick around for a limited time as Disney kept their attendance capped off to encourage social distancing, Disney in turn learned that having these park passes benefited them more than they realized. Now, even though social distancing is no longer a thing we do, unfortunately, I kind of wish we did because I don't like being real close to other people. I don't know about you. Disney still uses this park pass system as a head count to figure out how many guests will be in the parks each day and how much pre-planning they need to do when it comes to staffing, meal prep, Genie Plus pricing, the works. And then there's just the issue with demand in general. Ever since the parks fully opened for guests post-pandemic and post-mask, guests have been flooding into the parks in droves all year long. We've seen a few breaks in the crowds every now and then, especially around the end of August and September, but for the most part, the parks are real busy with ride lines that can rack up 60-plus minute waits, restaurants that can book up within minutes, and vacation package deals that can sell out shortly after they release. And that's why last-minute Disney trips are quickly becoming a thing of the past. Because if you want to pull off a successful trip despite the crowds, you're going to have to set yourself up for success early on or really put on your patient pants. But that's why we're doing what we do here on DFB. Though times have changed and have changed a lot, we want you to continue being ahead of those changes and not stress over missing out on any of those crucial pre-planning details. We got your back around here. We talk about this stuff all the time. And that's also why you'll find us recommending our friends over at Small World Vacations all the time, because their whole job is to help you find the best deals and reservations and itinerary for your future Disney vacation. And they provide this service for absolutely $0 and 0 cents. With that being said, I'm going to link 2 very important things down in the description for you. The first is the link to our free DFB newsletter, which will keep you in the know when it comes to Disney news, announcements, updated reviews, etc. We're in the parks every single day, trying out new food, trying out new rides, trying out new strategies to make sure you're saving money, you're saving time, and you're getting the best bang for your buck. And the second link is the link to that Small World Vacation travel agency I just mentioned, just in case you want to reach out for a free quote before you start deep diving into all that planning. Okay, here's another one for you that's along the lines of my big complaint about fitted sheets. Ready? Hello, my name is AJ Wolf, and I'm tired of paying $13 for a tiny panna cotta with a raisin on top, or like chocolate perfume, or cheesecake foam infused with an essence of fig, or gingerbread sponge accompanied by kumquat air. Seriously, stop selling me air and passing it off as dessert. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to a table service or signature restaurant. At Disney, I decided to splurge a little on something sweet for my otherwise successful meal and wound up super disappointed, both in the quantity and in the actual dessert itself. Does dessert need to be as big as the meal itself? No. But if I pay $13 for it, then I would love to have like a rich, hearty bread pudding or a giant sundae or gooey butter cake with ice cream and probably some house-made caramel sauce. That's what I'm looking for. Now, this probably means I'm unsophisticated, and I know that there's a lot that goes into that essence of fig. I've talked to a lot of pastry chefs. They've tried to explain the foam situation to me. It's just not my jam. So if I'm gonna pay $13 plus for a dessert, I wanna make sure that I am going to love it. And this goes for any other type of food in Disney World, right? If there's certain types of food you don't like, things you know you don't like, or that you don't think are worth the money, then you've found the right place, because here at DFB, we go to every single restaurant at least once a year, usually more than that. We go to every single new restaurant as soon as it opens and then revisit it again a little bit later to see if they've worked out any of the kinks. We try every new snack item. We go to every single festival booth and eat everything at the booth. And all of that information goes into our blog posts, it goes into our guidebooks over at DFB Store, it goes onto our social media channels, it goes here in the YouTube videos. So our job, and this is why I started this whole thing in the first place a million years ago, is to show you what you're actually going to get in the parks and in the restaurants when you order that food, so that you can make a good judgment call before you even get there on whether or not that's going to vibe with you or not, or if it's going to vibe with your family or not. So anyway, my complaint here is mostly that I don't understand why I have to pay so much money for a dessert that's, to me, not really worth that money, or frankly, really a dessert at all. But different strokes for different folks. You might love those desserts, but you're angry that you don't want to pay this much for barbecue, because barbecue is something you're super knowledgeable about and you don't want to waste your money on bad barbecue. Or pizza. Maybe you are a pizza snob, which so many of us are, and you don't want to waste your money on bad pizza in Disney World. So anyway, if that's you, if you have something you specifically love and you want to find the best version of it in Disney World, or if you just want to make sure that you're seeing everything you possibly can before you go drop a bunch of money on it when it comes to food in Disney World, you are in the right place. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter. Check out those guidebooks at dfbstore.com. Some of those guidebooks are really, really useful when it comes to snacks. We have snack guides that cover all of the snacks in all of the parks, literally every single one. We've got them all in there, like pictures of every single one, reviews of every single one. They're really easy to read. You just sort of flip the page and each page has a new snack on it. So it's super visual, super easy to just look at it and be like, yeah, that looks like something I would love. Anyway, I wish that Disney signature restaurants would put a little more thought into those desserts, but that's my opinion. And no matter what you have opinions about, we're covering it here on DFB. So definitely check out all those resources. And if you do decide to pick up some of those guidebooks, those are 100% money back guarantee guidebooks. We have a great support team that you just write us and say, hey, I didn't like this, can I have my money back? Absolutely. But if you want to purchase some of those, be sure to use code YouTube at dfbstore.com to get a discount. So the next thing Disney keeps getting wrong is the shade factor. Now, that could mean lots of things, but we're literally talking about shade in the parks. You know what state gets scorching hot during the year? Florida. And you know where Disney World is? Yeah, it's in Florida. So you know what place needs more shade in their parks to keep the blaring sun from frying us? I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. So there are areas of Disney World that are miserable to linger in during the heat of the day because there's just an overall lack of shade going on. Now, if some of you have not been in Disney World in the summer and you've been lucky enough to just be there kind of during the winter months or the very nice early spring or late fall, it is a completely different story during the summer, and you kind of have to experience it to believe it. Now, I love Toy Story Land over in Hollywood Studios, but I cannot tell you how many times I've breezed on past because standing in line for Slinky Dog Dash or even a lunchbox tart at Woody's Lunchbox is not worth the sunburn. And as much as I love tasting my way around the world during that Epcot festival, having to wait in line outside to get food from outside booths and then proceed at the nearest table that's, oh look, outside, can be draining. It'd be awesome to see Disney put in more areas with shade so we can hide ourselves from all the UVs, because maybe that rumored weather dome wouldn't be such a bad idea after all. But fortunately, there are still areas of escape in each of the parks just in case you're feeling the temps go up. If you head to Pete's Silly Sideshow in Magic Kingdom, you'll come across a shaded outdoor seating area with a bright yellow tent. Now this spot has benches and chairs and tables and shade. There's not much going on here, but it is a nice place to enjoy some quiet time, maybe enjoy a quick snack, and charge your phone while you're at it. Yep, this area also has a little charging station free for you to use and juice up your phone. This is where I would always bring my son in his stroller when he needed to nap in the afternoon because it's very quiet back there. In Disney's Animal Kingdom, I cannot recommend the shows here enough. Not only are Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, and Festival of the Lion King highly entertaining with some top-notch voices and talent you're going to want to give a standing ovation for, but these shows happen indoors, in buildings, with AC, meaning you can cool down without having to call a timeout on your Disney day, because of course you want to go to these shows, right? So time them right in your day. Go during the middle of the day when ride lines are wild anyway, and then you get a little respite and you get to see the show. So the World Showcase might get rather toasty while you're walking from pavilion to pavilion, but there are so many different buildings you can escape into, just in case you need a sanctuary away from the sun. A few of those buildings include the Shanghai Disneyland exhibit in the China Pavilion, the Race Against the Sun exhibit in the Morocco Pavilion, and the Canada Far and Wide show in the Canada Pavilion. But there are lots of others as well. And if Hollywood Studios is getting too warm for your liking, try slipping into the Walt Disney Presents self-guided tour building, which conveniently isn't too far away from Toy Story Land. This exhibit, which explores the history of Walt Disney's childhood, animation projects, and theme park plans, is air-conditioned and not usually too crowded at all. So you can enjoy a nice break from the sun before getting back into the thick of it. Star Wars Launch Bay is also a great place for a quick escape from the heat. Since everyone's busy flocking to Galaxy's Edge all day long, this little Star Wars exhibit, tucked away into the animation courtyard, stays fairly quiet, giving you the chance to immerse yourself in all things Star Wars with meet and greets, interactive exhibits, and an exclusive movie documentary too, all while staying in a nice, cool, shaded building. If you want me, you'll find me here. One last piece of advice before we move on, make sure you pack your park bag with the heat in mind. Pack portable items like handheld fans, cooling towels to place around your neck, those ones are my favorite by the way, refillable water bottles, and sunscreen, which you'll need to reapply at multiple points throughout the day. So once upon a time, I could get on the Magical Express for free from the Orlando airport to go to Disney World, and I could book fast passes for my favorite rides for free. And now, both of those free services are gone. Disney's Magical Express passed its torch on to Mears Connect and the Sunshine Flyer, while FastPass stepped back to let Disney Genie Plus step forward. All of these new services, unfortunately, have become extra expenses that we now have to budget into our trips if we decide to use them. A standard round trip on Mears Connect, which picks you up from the airport and drops you off at your Disney hotel and then picks you up again at the end of your stay, costs $38 per adult and $27 per child. So for a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 kids, you're looking at an extra $130 right there before tax. Meanwhile, Disney Genie Plus services, which allow you to book one lightning lane at a time to bypass attractions' main queues, can cost you between $15 and $35 per person depending on the day's demand. At its most expensive, a family of 4 could end up dropping $140 on Genie Plus for the day. But this price doesn't even cover all the rides. The most popular ones, like Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios and Tron Light Cycle Run in Magic Kingdom, require you to pay a separate price for their lightning lanes, which will cost a surge price per person per single ride-through. Basically, the average family could wind up spending hundreds of dollars extra on top of what they're already paying for services that used to be absolutely 100% free. Now, Disney's aware of the upcharging issue. In fact, Disney CEO Bob Iger even commented on this concern during a Disney earnings call. Iger stated, "It's clear that some of our pricing initiatives were alienating to consumers," and he said he's always believed that accessibility is a core value of the Disney brand. But he shared that Disney was not perceived to be as accessible or as affordable to many segments as they probably should have been. So after basically paying heed to what they were hearing, Disney has started to address it. Iger noted that they've taken some steps to correct the issue already, working to provide more flexibility for the consumer in terms of how much it costs them to go. But as of right now, the only major pricing change we've seen is free parking returning for Disney hotel guests, which we'll take it, but that's literally all we've seen. Otherwise, we're still seeing things like Disney Genie Plus prices continuously being pushed higher and higher and higher. The most recent spring break price hike pushed Genie Plus into the $35 range per person per day. Now, it's highly unlikely we're ever going to see lightning lanes ever returning to their old free fast pass ways, especially since guest spending has increased exponentially since Genie Plus hit the scene, meaning Disney's making bank from this premium service, and it is selling out. But that doesn't mean you have to be caught off guard when it comes to these price increases. You may even be able to avoid some of them during your visit. Tip number 1, consider getting a ride share from the airport instead of booking the Mears Connect or Sunshine Flyer. Though rideshare prices for Uber and Lyft switch up constantly throughout the day, on average you can usually book a ride between $35 and $50 one way. Peak pricing for ride shares tends to fall around lunch or rush hour, so if you can book a ride during that sweet spot when not as many people are fighting through traffic on I-4, you might be able to save quite a bit on your rides from the airport to your hotel and back again. Tip number 2, skip the extra when you can. You're not always going to need Disney Genie Plus. In fact, you might not need it at all if you're planning on visiting during those less busy travel seasons. We tend to pass on getting Genie Plus for Epcot and Disney's Animal Kingdom since they don't have as many rides that benefit from having lightning lanes handy. But that being said, those peak seasons like spring break and the week of Christmas, July 4th coming up, Memorial Day, might still be good to consider getting Genie Plus for all the parks since crowds will be at an all-time high. You'll want to watch our Outsmart Genie Plus video to find out how many days you may actually need Genie Plus, as well as how you can really maximize your purchase if you do decide to add it onto your day. And tip number 3, figure out ways to save before you get there. Want to save on snacks? Bring your own pre-packaged ones from home. Don't want to pay top dollar for Disney souvenirs on site? Buy cheaper items on shopdisney.com or from your local dollar store. Want to stick to a budget when you're tasting around the Epcot festivals? Invest in Disney gift cards ahead of time and save 5% on those gift card purchases when you buy them with your Target Red Card. There are so many easy ways to save money even before you cross into the Disney World bubble, and all those little ways start to add up big time. So don't skip them thinking they won't make much of a difference, because they will. They will indeed. The next thing we want to kind of bag on Disney for here is abandoning buildings. Not every Disney attraction sticks around forever. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway replaced Great Movie Ride, Cry Face. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind replaced Ellen's Energy Adventure, semi-nostalgic smiley face. Steakhouse 71 replaced the Wave of American Flavors, and the list goes on. But some Disney experiences disappeared and left behind prime real estate for more new stuff, and yet Disney hasn't been acting on the opportunities. The area in Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland, where extraterrestrial alien encounter and Stitch's Great Escape used to reside, has been pretty quiet for the past couple of years. The last big movement that was made with this location was back in 2020, when Disney filed 2 demolition permits for the interior. For a while, we thought this meant something new might be on the horizon for this show building, but as of today, it's being used as a Tron pop-up shop and a rest location for cast members. There have been rumors swarming about pondering what this building could become. At one point, people thought maybe a new Wreck-It Ralph ride would be installed here, and since Stitch used to do meet and greets in this area before the pandemic, some thought that Stitch meet and greets would start back up here when things started to settle down. Or maybe even a new and better Stitch attraction would be added, since Stitch is one of the most popular Disney characters. Yet has no ride or show or restaurant that capitalizes on his popularity. But as of now, Disney seems to be a little more focused on what's going on in the back of Tomorrowland with all the new Tron additions, instead of the entrance of Tomorrowland. And once upon a time, Epcot used its old Wonders of Life pavilion over in the now World Discovery area for attractions like Body Wars and Cranium Command. It was also used as the festival center for food and wine for many years post Body Wars. For the longest time, the building was left undisturbed, but in 2019, during the D23 convention, Disney announced that the Wonders of Life Pavilion would transform into the Play Pavilion, which would be an interactive digital metropolis featuring games and entertainment and hands-on activities and favorite Disney characters, both virtual and real. However, because of the pandemic, many projects, specifically many of the projects originally announced for Epcot, were pushed to the back burner. Things like a new Mary Poppins attraction for the UK Pavilion and a major overhaul for Spaceship Earth got postponed until the foreseeable future. But Disney was still holding out on us when it came to the future of the Play Pavilion. They even added it to their maps. So we had hoped that we were going to eventually see this experience open up, especially since the Wonders of Life building was being labeled as the future home of play. But at the beginning of January this year, that Play Pavilion label was completely stripped from the maps, leaving behind the Wonders of Life dome building with no indication of what its future could hold. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the Play Pavilion has been scrapped. There's also the possibility that the project's just been temporarily put on hold for changes or paused indefinitely because of recent financial losses, which you can learn more about during our DFB video that goes in depth with the $6 billion of cuts that Bob Iger is making for the company. However, the future of this real estate is still pretty rocky at the moment, and we're not quite sure what the final outcome's going to be here. But good news, despite major setbacks, Epcot is still proceeding with several other park expansions that we can expect to see opening up this year. Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza Festival area will become the new home base for Epcot's seasonal festivals and live events. A Figment meet and greet will be arriving in World Celebration's Imagination Pavilion later later this summer. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, will be a lush exploration trail that allows explorers to play with magical living water through an immersive walkthrough attraction opening later this fall. And in honor of the Walt Disney Company's 100-year anniversary, Imagineers are busy prepping the World Showcase Lagoon for an entirely new nighttime spectacular, which Disney describes as a show that will unite us through commonalities of the heart in a dazzling display of fireworks, lasers, music, and light. Okay, so let's get out of the parks for a bit and pick on a different section of Disney World. In Disney Springs, the giant building over on the west side of the shopping district, which used to house the ginormous Disney Quest arcade and then the NBA experience after that, is currently the home of nothing. Last year, between May and July, this building did temporarily hold the free Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge virtual reality experience, but now, crickets. Now let's do some blue sky brainstorming ourselves for just a minute here. What do you think would be a really cool thing to add in a giant open building like this that you don't need a park ticket to get to? We've heard several folks talk about how it'd be so cool to see a Disney themed escape room here, and maybe it could be a fab location for one of those big food hall things. But Bria, our scriptwriter, is super into the idea of opening up Beast's library here with all the books. Whatever Disney decides to do with this building next, don't for a second think that there's nothing to do on this side of Disney Springs in the meantime. When you go to the west side, you can still ride in a tethered hot air balloon, shop at superhero headquarters and Star Wars Galactic Outpost, bowl at Splitsville, watch a movie at AMC Theaters, catch a concert at House of Blues, see Drawn to Life by Cirque du Soleil, and a lot more. West Side is also going to be the location where the new Summer House on the Lake restaurant is going to open up later this year, which is going to serve garden fresh foods and seasonal Florida ingredients. To learn more about Summer House, check out our early review of its other location out in Chicago. I'll go ahead and link it down in the description below for you. In conclusion, Disney's got a lot they can still work with to add new and exciting things to their parks and shopping district. We're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs, waiting for something to actually happen with these show buildings. Much like any business, Disney is not perfect, but that's why the DFB team and I are making these videos to help lead you around all the gunk that's threatening to soil your expensive vacation. Stick with us, we'll continue to help you navigate all the tricky theme park changes, the upcharges, the pitfalls of Disney in general. That way, you can still manage to pull off the best trip ever. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to get your fitted sheets in your suitcase. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.